one of the first gentlemen, Tom, when he came in. And he was sharing with me some personal stories that he has experienced. And it just reconnected with me why this is so important and what made me want to pursue this and to share this with all of you. So thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. What I hope to do tonight is to share some of recent scientific research with you and to identify risk factors and to give some suggestions for lifestyle changes that can prevent cognitive decline. So, I have been involved in the health and fitness industry for 40 years. No, it doesn't look like it, right? 4 years ago, the course of my life changed. I was on a business retreat in Napa, and I had the opportunity to hear Dr. Frank LaFurla. He is the Dean of Bioscience at the University of California in Irvine. And he is head of what's called the MIND program. The MIND program means mental impairment in neurological disorders. For the past 30 years, the MIND program has been at the forefront of Alzheimer's disease research. The devastation of the disease and the lack of hope for a cure made a great impact on me. I then had the opportunity to visit the MIND laboratory. I got to hold a human brain in my hand. I saw a section of the brain where the hippocampus was nearly gone. The hippocampus is where our memories are stored. Do you remember getting your first bike, maybe on Christmas Day? Do you remember your first kiss? Your wedding day? Holding your child in your arms for the very first time. Now imagine all that gone. Billions have been invested to find a drug that at best slows down cognitive decline. No reversal of the disease has existed until now. Later, I was invited again to UC Irvine, this time to hear a presentation by Laura Baker. She is the head of geriatrics and a professor at Wake Forest University. She had just concluded a 6-month trial of 33 adults aged 55 to 85. They were each randomized into either a high-intensity aerobic exercise or a stretching control group. Her goal was to examine the effects of aerobic exercise on cognition. The results showed that the buildup of the tau substance, which are nerve cells in our brains and are present in Alzheimer's disease, was actually diminished. This was the first ray of hope I had ever heard, and it was something that could be implemented by my industry. Could it be that something I bring to people every day could affect Alzheimer's? I began to devour everything I could in regards to Alzheimer's and neurogenesis, which is the growth and development of new brain cells. I came upon the work of Dr. Dale Bredesen. He is the author of the book, The End of Alzheimer's. His first efforts in his protocol actually reversed Alzheimer's in 9 out of 10 patients. I recall one patient, a doctor, whose memory was so bad, he could not recognize his own patients' faces or remember their names. He was asked to perform a clock test in which you place the numbers in the appropriate position on a clock. And he could, at best, clump all the numbers together in the upper quadrant of the clock. Yet by following Dr. Bredesen's protocol, not only was he able to successfully complete the clock test, he was able to return to his full-time medical practice. Dr. Bredesen has now reversed Alzheimer's in over 100 patients. His protocol consists of a combination of exercise, nutrition, and supplementation. He was not the only one. Dr. Daniel Amen, the world's foremost expert on brain spectrometry, which is single proton emission computerized technology, easy for me to say, could actually look at the brain and see high and low areas of activity in the brain, particularly the parietal and temporal lobes, where Alzheimer's disease is known to occur. His scans actually showed an increase in size, blood flow to the brain, and an increase in BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotrophic factors, also known as growth factor for the brain. Higher levels means less deterioration of the brain and possibly more growth. One way to ensure higher levels of BDNF is exercise, particularly aerobic exercise. Before we talk about a solution, let's talk about the risks of Alzheimer's. And I want you to be thinking in kind of a mental checklist in your brain on what may apply to you. Age is the #1 factor. 1 out of 9, 65 and older, and 50% of those 85 and older will have Alzheimer's disease. That number is expected to triple in 30 years. You guys kind of doing the math? 30 years. The disease starts 30 years before any symptoms occur. And by the time symptoms do occur, 30% of the hippocampus may be gone. Second risk factor, obesity. That means men with a body fat of 25% or greater, women with a body fat of 33% or greater are at twice the risk. What is your body fat? Do you have hypertension or high blood pressure above 120/70? You are at risk. Genetics plays a critical role. According to Dr. Bredesen, if you carry the APOE4 gene from one parent, you stand a 30% greater risk of Alzheimer's disease. If you have the gene from both parents, you have a 50% higher risk. And why the APOE4 gene? Research has shown it plays a role in the destruction of the synapses and neurons in the brain. Have you ever suffered a brain injury? You are at risk. Fallen off a roof. Played contact sports. Been in a car accident. Do you consume more than 2 glasses of alcohol a week? Do you have diabetes or vascular disease? Diabetes will increase your risk by 50%. Are you a female?
Oh, jeez.
You are at higher risk.
Oh, jeez.
Are you a smoker? Does anybody smoke anymore? Our age, we know better, right? Do you suffer from sleep deprivation, less than 7 hours a night, or sleep apnea? Do you live a sedentary lifestyle? Are you retired and no longer learning new skills? Are you now, or have you ever partaken in recreational drugs? Do you have toxic exposure? One of the highest careers at risk are firemen due to their, God bless them, toxic exposure. How do you give yourself Alzheimer's disease? Live a life in continual exposure to these risks. How do you prevent it? Live your life to minimize these risks. What steps can you take to prevent cognitive decline? It's certainly more than playing crossword puzzles or Sudoku. participating in aerobic exercise at 70 to 80% targeted heart rate, and strength training 4 times per week to increase blood flow, oxygen, and DNA repair is vital. Exercise reduces insulin resistance, increases the size of the hippocampus, improves vascular function, reduces stress, improves mood, and increases the survival of newborn neurons. Second, dietary intake, including smart, low glycemic carbs under 35. So if any of you are familiar with the glycemic index, tells how quickly food converts into sugar, the higher the number, stay away from. It is recommended under 35. And eating healthy fats. Using, of course, organic fruits and vegetables, minimizing that exposure to toxic substance. Grass-fed beef, free-range chicken, free from antibiotics. Cooking with herbs, such as rosemary, thyme, sage, and saffron, can enhance memory. Avoid sugar, processed foods, nothing in a bag, nothing in a box. Certainly no fast food. As the great Jack LaLanne always said, if God didn't make it, don't eat it. The Mediterranean diet has been recommended and is used by the Mind Institute. It includes in your diet vegetables, beans, nuts, olive oil, fish, and berries. A ketogenic diet has also been recommended by Dr. David Perlmutter, author of The Grain Brain. It is also recommended by Dr. Bredinson. It consists of high-fat, adequate protein diet that forces the body to burn fats rather than carbohydrates. It creates a state called ketosis, which is a natural metabolic state, a secondary energy source that our body uses for survival. Recently, a lot of attention has been focused on intermittent fasting for weight loss. This can be beneficial for brain health as well, as you are inducing ketosis. Intermittent fasting means waiting 12 to 16 hours in between meals. Dr. Bredinson calls it KetoFlex 12/3. That can be as easy as eating your last meal at 7 p.m. at least 3 hours before bedtime, and then not eating again until 7 a.m. Not impossible, and it may switch your metabolism to fat-burning, insulin-sensitive, which can prevent Alzheimer's. I recommend a diet which includes healthy fats, such as avocados, yes, olive oil, fatty fish, salmon, sardines, trout, nuts such as almonds, macadamia, walnuts, and seeds such as pumpkin seeds. Supplementation. I've included my list of 7 essential supplements you should be including in your daily intake. Don't try to remember them all. I have a copy of the handout at the back of the room. If you didn't happen to grab one, please grab one before you leave tonight. First on our list is MCT oil. That is medium-chain triglyceride oil. It is known to increase a mild ketosis, which is optimal for cognitive function. MCT switches your body from carbohydrate-burning, insulin-resistant, brain-killing to fat-burning, insulin-sensitive brain preservation. Next is omega-3s. EPA and DHA, according to Dr. Amen, are fatty acids which are anti-inflammatory, build brain cell membranes, and are the component of neuronal synapses. It can increase blood flow, decrease brain atrophy, increase working memory, executive function, and mood. He recommends 1,000 milligrams per day. Vitamin D3. essential for creating and maintaining brain synapses, overall brain health, and mood. Low levels have been associated with memory problems, depression, and dementia. Human studies have shown that it may stimulate the immune system to rid the body of beta amyloids, which are the plaques that build up in your brain. That is according to the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease. Recommended is 2,000 to 5,000 milligrams a day. Magnesium is vital for your body to make energy and can relax blood vessels and plays a key role in blood sugar regulation. It is recommended to combine with the amino acid threonine, and cognition can improve. 2 grams per day. B6, B12, and folate combat homocysteine. Homocysteine is a marker of inflammation and brain shrinkage. Recommended by Dr. Bredesen is pyroxyl 5-phosphate for B6, 20 to 50 milligrams a day. Methyl B12 form, 1 milligram in total per day, and methylfolate, 0.8 and as high as 0.5 milligrams per day. Melatonin. The goal for the healthy brain is 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. That gives your brain the ability to wash. This is best without sleeping pills. They can compromise cognitive function. The dosage is best at 0.3 to 0.5 milligrams to replace your body's natural production of melatonin. You can take up to 20 milligrams, according to Dr. Bredesen. Be cautioned that too much can actually create disruptive sleep, and you're back to where you were before. Curcumin form of turmeric has a potent antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and lipophilic action that can improve cognitive function. It can cross the blood-brain barrier, which promises to be a good neuroprotective agent. It has been shown to improve memory and your attention span in older adults. 1 gram twice per day. Those are my 7. There are a lot more. What I tried to do in my research was really take those supplements that were consistent throughout the research and the studies I found. The next healthy brain step is to get your minds right. And that means to address the ants.
What?
The ants. Good question. The ants are automatic negative thoughts. Every time you have a negative thought, your brain releases chemicals. So kill the ants. You can do this by identifying the negative thought and turning them around. This takes practice. Byron Katie, author of Loving What Is, teaches you to ask these 4 questions. Is it true? My husband never listens to me. Heard this?
Yes. He told me.
Is it absolutely true? Yes. Well, no. But sometimes, but no, it's not absolutely true. You're off the hook.
Dodge that bullet.
How does that thought make you feel? Frustrated, angry. Who would you be without that thought? Loving, happy. Address those thoughts. It is also important to incorporate prayer, meditation, and breath work to aid in stress management. Stress triggers inflammation. Brain cells die with prolonged exposure to stress. Studies have shown that meditation can increase blood flow, particularly to the right temporal lobe. Many free self-guided meditative apps are available for you. I started including breath work on a regular basis in my group exercise classes at the end of the class. It's simple, so we want to do diaphragmatic breathing. So what I would invite you to do is put one hand on your abdomen and one hand on your chest. So in diaphragmatic breathing, you don't want your chest to rise, you want your abdomen to rise. Just like if you've ever watched a baby, they breathe from their abdomen. So take 4 counts to inhale, breathing by expanding your abdomen. Hold for 4 counts, and now exhale for 4 counts. And again, 4 counts in, holding, and exhale. A little more relaxed. I know I do. These are just a few steps that can be incorporated into daily living. I have designed a program based on recent scientific studies. Following Laura Baker's work and another trial from Finland called the FINGER study, which is Finland geriatric study, which not only incorporated exercise, it also incorporated nutrition, and it incorporated socialization as well. Add in some of Dr. Bredenson's protocol, Dr. Amon's recommendations, include some of Dr. Pearl Mutter's suggestions, and you have TEP. I call it 3-element program. TEP is a 16-week program, which includes a 4-week adaptation phase. This assesses the current physical capabilities and introduces a heart rate monitor. Based on age, this phase establishes the required targeted heart rate of 70 to 80% of the maximum heart rate for that individual. The next 12 weeks consists of strength and cardiovascular exercises for the required 30 to 45 minutes. I have chosen the TRX suspension system and the water rowers. These are the TRX. Many of you in this room know this very well. And in the back we have the water rowers. You thought I was kidding about making you get up and do exercises, right? I am. I find that these are the best to accommodate most physical limitations. There will be 4 monthly nutrition classes. I call it 5 Foods, 5 Ways. We went over some of the foods that would be good to eat, to include in your daily living. These courses will teach students easy meal preparation. Eating healthy can and should be fun. Not only does the nutrition classes encourage the socialization of the students, who doesn't like to meet and eat great food, right? Students will also be encouraged to connect as accountability partners. I've had great success in my group exercise classes when students partner up to encourage and hold each other accountable. I hope that this has given you a better understanding of Alzheimer's disease, alleviated some of your fears, and given you some positive steps that you can begin incorporating in your life today. We have a copy of the 7 essential supplements. To please take a copy of that on your way out. And also, I have the MyZone heart monitors that we use in our classes. I included a coupon for $20 off. The heart monitors are usually $150 online. I sell them here for $99, so you have a $20 off for those, so that you can begin monitoring your daily activities and see where you're, if you're in that appropriate heart rate zone. I know some of us do. And there are applications for the Beta TEP program as well. That is 50% off my first launch of the program, which is my Beta program. I want to thank you again all for coming, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. And I also wanted to introduce, I have stand up, Shannon Moss. Shannon I've worked with before, and she is a integrative nutritionist. and is happy to answer any of your questions as well. Thank you, Shannon, for being here. And hope to be working with her in our tech program as well. So, do we have questions?
Janine, you mentioned a gene,
APOE4.
How do you know about this gene?
You get tested for it. So there are a couple places. One is registering at the Mind Institute. From what I understand, it's a little tricky for people to go and ask to be tested for this gene because of insurance reasons. So the Mind program, if you register with them, they will do that testing for you. And by registering with them, they will help guide you through some of this. But also, you do have to donate your brain. But you won't need it anymore when you're gone. Not now. When you're gone. And there's also a couple that I became acquainted with. He is a neurologist. It's Pat and Sarah Admonson. He's a neurologist and she's a naturopath. They're in Orange County, and they are both Dr. Bredesen certified. They are a little bit costly. It's not covered by your insurance, but they're continuing to do some of Dr. Bredesen's work right here in Orange County. So that's another way as well. So great question. Thank you.
There's one caveat. When you said insurance purposes, maybe you're saying that insurance doesn't cover it. There's another issue. You want to be sure if you're going to get long-term life care insurance.
Get it first.
You get it first. Because that you will have to report to them if you have to carry the gene.
So do remember the tricky part with you can have the APOE4 from one parent, you can have it from two parents, and it doesn't mean you're going to get it. You can also be free of that gene, and you will get Alzheimer's. So it's no guarantee either way. Yes?
Janine, you said Dr. Redigan, he's associated with UC Irvine?
No, Dr. Bredesen, he actually used to be with UCLA, and he now runs, it's called the Buck Institute, where he's continuing to do his work there.
So is the Mind Institute?
The Mind Institute, that was Dr. Frank LaFurla, and he's the Dean of Biosciences there.
At UCI.
At UCI.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one other question.
Yeah.
You mentioned melatonin as one of the supplements. If you regularly sleep 7 to 8 hours a night,
You're good.
melatonin?
You're golden. God bless you.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Has there been any research done on marijuana as far as CBD and THC? Because now with the presence of little gummies and stuff, go to sleep. And
According to
seems help.
According to Dr. Amen, not good for brain health. Remember, he's the one who looks at the brain.
So throw all yours away.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rob. No, you mentioned ketosis. Oh, well, too late. That confuses me completely because it seems so contrary to the Mediterranean diet when you're talking about protein and fat. People that I know on that ketosis diet are eating bacon, butter, all that stuff. So can you elaborate on that a little?
I recommended healthier fats. And the thing about the ketosis is, I know a lot of people who have tried it and they don't do well with it. There's one other diet I didn't mention that's called the Mind diet, and it is a combination of the Mediterranean and the DASH diet, which is for hypertension. So what I recommend is you have to find what works for you and how you feel the best. Because I've had people who have tried ketosis and they feel awful. And they feel lethargic and, don't function well. So clearly not the right eating program for them. And then I've had people, they've lost, eating bacon and they've lost, all this weight. But